Hey, this is Grant with Grant's Rock Warehouse, and today, you guessed it, you've got another episode in the Matthew Sweet series with Todd Evans. Today, we're going to look at Matthew Sweet's 1986 album Inside and 1989's Earth. So, without any further ado, hey, let's get started. So, Earth, as I said, came out in 1986. It was produced in New York City, Boston, London, and LA by Stephen Hague, Scott Litt, Don Dixon, Dave Allen. The reviews for this record were kind of mediocre. All Music gave it a 2.5 stars, Rolling Stone gave it a 3.5, and Spin gave it a 5 out of 10. So we're looking about a 3 out of 5, maybe a 7, 6 out of 10. Performers on this record, all-star cast here. Amy Mann Till Tuesday. You've got members from Magazine, The Bangles, Jody Harris, Mike Campbell from Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, Valerie Simpson from Ashford and Simpson. Hey, what's a record without Valerie Simpson? Bernie Worrell, Chris Stamey from the DBs, Fred Mayer, who was in Scritti Politti. And as you know, Fred Mayer would play a much more predominant role on records to come, and Anton Fear from the Golden Palominos and the Feelies. In fact, just to veer off track for a minute, Matthew Sweet did appear with the Golden Palominos, I believe, after this album was completed, probably before Earth. I'm not sure exactly 100%. But anyway, he did appear with Anton Fear and the Golden Palominos. And if you can find those, I would recommend those. Try to pick those up. But anyway, Inside, not successful, plummeted like a stone. So Matthew Sweet was dropped from the label after the release. He would not put out another album for 3 years. The record didn't sell anything. I mean, what am I going to say? But I do have some eye candy here. Here is a white label promo of this record. It's got the little promo doodad up there, and there's some the inner sleeve. Of course, this isn't a white label promo. Columbia didn't want to spend the money on Matthew on this, so what are you going to do? But anyway, that's his first record. Todd, why don't you lead us off with this and give me your thoughts on this whole
But I kind of feel like after spending quite a bit of time with this record, I kind of feel like Save Time for Me it kind of peaks there, and then the last 4 tracks maybe aren't quite as good as that. I like Brotherhood okay. I really like all 3 of the last 3 tracks, but not. There are tracks earlier in the album that I think are stronger.
Go ahead. Oh well, I'm just saying the Trouser Press Record Guide, who did a review on this years ago when it came out, thought that side 1 was way stronger than side 2. I don't know how you feel.
Yeah, I can see that. I can see that, but assuming, let's see, 11 tracks, assuming Save Time for Me is on side 2, it's my favorite. But yeah, if it was split between track 6 and track 7, then I could see how somebody would think that sounds about right for a critic to say. I thought that this album was wildly uneven when I first started trying to reacquaint myself with it a couple of months ago, and now I don't think that so much. I mean, like I said, there's a couple songs that stand out, but they all sound like Matthew Sweet songs, and the very beginning of his layered vocals thing is already starting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
So the thing that he does so much later on.
Yeah, not so much here, which is, if you've really listened to it and you're used to that layered vocal that he did on Girlfriend and everything that came after. I mean, there's a little bit on Earth. Not quite, or Girlfriend's where everything started to gel. But here, if you're not used to Matthew not being single tracked, it's a little bit, you're like going, whoa. It's not jarring, but it's a little bit different than what you're used to. And I think on here, the other statistic that I learned is that he'd only been writing songs for 2 years. And then he put this record out. He hadn't been writing for that long.
I would love to hear the story about how he got signed.
I looked for that and I could not find anything about that.
I couldn't either. Yeah.
But I mean, overall, I know we did the album ranking, but now that you've really dove into this, I mean, what would you give this out of 5, I guess?
Oh, I don't remember what I gave it last time. I
I
would
don't
give
either.
this a
Go ahead.
I would give this a 2.75 or maybe a 3.
All right. Okay.
I think you can see the songcraft starting to peak out.
Yeah, it's just that the
And
production hasn't quite gelled yet.
no, not really a good drum sound to be found pretty much in the whole thing.
Well, there's
I didn't
only
think.
one track though, as far as I know, that has real drums on it, and that's Half Asleep,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
which
Uh,
I love that. That's
yeah.
I'm bring it on.
Yeah, I like that too. One of the things I noticed, and we'll talk about this a little bit more when we get to Earth, but there's really only one song where they tried to give, I guess I should say Matthew tried to give himself kind of an edge, kind of a little bit a little bit of swagger, and that's Quiet Her.
Yes.
It's really interesting to jump forward to Girlfriend and to see the difference in the execution of his image. But we'll talk more about that when we get to Earth, because Earth I think is a much sweeter record. This one's pretty sweet, but Earth doesn't have a lot of edge. And that's not I'm not saying that's a bad thing, but
It's not
more
a
about
critical
that later.
thing. It's just an
No.
observation. I got it.
Right, exactly. But yeah, I like this record more now,
Whoa.
and I almost kind of wish I'd paid more attention to it in the
Well, it is what it is.
80s and 90s. Yeah.
But I think your assessment of everything is spot on. It's funny because you find when you listen to this, if you've noticed this, Matthew Sweet plays nearly everything himself on 2 tracks.
And that's one of the things I wanted to talk about too. And I skipped over it. There's one of the tracks where he plays the keyboards, and there's a lot of keyboards, and they're kind of dated. They're very much what was happening in the 80s.
Right.
And so I don't know if that credit is not right, because if it's right and he played all the keyboards in that song, I don't remember exactly which one it is, but it's amazing that he was as good at it.
Right.
Let me see if I can figure out what song it was. I'm not sure, but yeah, it's everything but the drums, right? Or does he get a drum credit on there too?
I don't think.
I think it's just bass and guitar and.
Yeah, you're right. He's not playing any drums. He's doing drum programming, but
right.
I'm so glad that all went away. But when I really originally listened to it, I thought that it was kind of uneven as far as the production. But the more you listen to it, you put your headphones on, you walk the dog, you listen to it more and more. It seems like for all the producers that they had on this record, it does seem to flow pretty good. It seems like it's okay. I mean, somehow they were able to maintain that consistent feel. I don't know how they.
Yeah.
For overall,
it's amazing. It has as much consistency as it does with that many different styles all being thrown in the mix.
And I think this record does, because he was hanging out with REM down in Athens, hanging out with Michael Stipe's sister. I think a lot of that influence carried over on this record, because it does sound a bit like REM, kind of somewhat the DBs, I think.
Yeah,
with a lot of keyboards on it. You slap a lot of keyboards on it, that's what you've got. You've got a REM Matthew Sweet DB's record, but for 1986, and think about 86, not much power pop going on. I think this is a good example of mid to late 80s power pop.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about what REM was doing in '86, they made Life's Rich Pageant with Don Gehman and in John Mellencamp's barn, and so that record is drastically different from
right.
Matthew's record. So
it is. And what year? What was that? 87 Wait,
80,
you said Life Search
86.
Pageant, right? 86.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is way different. Light years. But I
Yeah.
don't think the REM record is quite as this. I don't know what they were trying to go for. It seems like, yeah, we're trying to be hip to some degree, but then again, we need to get a hit, you know?
Right. Right.
I wish they
Yeah,
would
and
have.
it does make me wonder how they promoted it. What they did.
I have
I
no
know
idea.
I know we'll get to Earth in a minute, and
Right.
Earth some more kind of stunts that
Yeah.
they tried
But
singles and things, but I don't know what they did for Inside.
I have no idea.
Or
I think
whatever it
it
is, it
just
didn't
sank
work.
like a stone because as soon as it came out, I think they dropped him pretty much because it didn't sell for anything.
And, I didn't look this up before we started, but the CD I have came out on Columbia Legacy.
Mhm. Yeah.
And so that suggests to me that it was released on Columbia in 86 and
It
probably
was.
just on vinyl and cassette. And then I think Columbia Legacy put it out after Matthew Sweet became popular.
It
That's my
was.
guess.
No, you're 100% right. In fact,
Okay.
I've got it when I in my travels, I've got 2 copies of Inside on vinyl. And every time that I found it, they're they are all promo copies. I have not yet seen a
One that somebody
copy
bought.
that
Yeah,
someone bought,
right.
but I found 2, and you barely ever see it. But
I've never seen it.
no, I think let's see if this has a date on it. No, but I got this for $1 at Used Kids in Columbus. The other one, I think I spent a little bit more, like I don't know, $3.50, but it was a promo, and I bought it at Used Kids as well. But it's just funny. But as far as the track listings, me personally, I after I looked at it and I read that review from Trower Press, and they said, well, side one's a bit stronger. Well, I picked 3 from side one that I like. I do like Quiet Her, even though I'm not sure what we're trying to quiet her about. But I do like that track. Blue Fools, I like. It's got a great guitar part. We
I don't
lose
think I
another.
mentioned that I like that one, but I like
Yeah,
Blue
it's
Fools a
good.
lot too.
And We Lose Another Day. It's got a nice keyboard riff in the beginning of it, and then Matthew kind of sings that whole melody. After that, I like that. This Above All, I like. You know what that, and I love Amy Mann's vocals on that. You know what? I don't know if you'll think you've heard this, but when I heard that, I thought it sounded like Missing Persons.
Oh yeah, a little bit. I heard a little of that.
Even though Missing Persons, what was that, 82? I'm talking about the first album it reminded me of. I'm thinking that's like
Yeah.
82, probably 83.
Yeah, that's about right.
But it still had that kind of reminded me of that. And then
And let's think about that. At 86 that's before Amy Mann is kind of like this indie kind of more organic. I mean, that's kind of
when did the first
Till Tuesday Amy Mann.
what year did the first Till Tuesday album come out? 84?
Something like that.
Because I know,
And then there were 2 after that.
Yeah, I think 86 was okay. 85, I think. Don't quote me, but I think 85 was Welcome Home, and I think 86 was the one with Jules Shear on it.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
I think you're right.
got the black cover. With all
Everything's different now.
Everything's different now, which is a great record.
Yeah, it is good.
If anybody's watching this, if you're looking into Till Tuesday, that is a really great record. In fact, all the Till Tuesday albums are really good. You should, if you like Amy Mann, seek those out. But I mean, there's J for Jules is on that record because she was in a relationship with Jules Shear and they broke up or whatever. But anyway, that's what J for Jules is about. But what a great song. So all this is all going on around the same time. But I think that's a great track. This Above All, I love that song. By Herself, I think is really great. And the closing track, Watch You Walking, I really like that track.
That one grew on me a lot.
Yeah. Maybe it's that Matthew Sweet ballad kind of thing that I like, but it's not totally here yet. But I don't know. I think I would give this record. I know when we were doing our rankings, I was giving everything 4 stars. But in reality, as we look at this and we go through everything, I would have to say I'd probably give this a solid 3 stars.
That's about where I'm at too.
Yeah. I mean, it's a good record. Anybody watching, would I start out on this record? I probably would not. If I would recommend anything, I would start out with Girlfriend always. And I'm sure Todd would probably recommend something else.
I think I would probably recommend Girlfriend or one of the 2 Brendan O'Brien records to start with.
100% Fun. I could recommend that too.
Yeah.
So there you go. So we got a 2.5, a 3 out of Todd, and I'm going to give it a solid 3. So up next, we're going to take a look at Earth. So Earth, this record came out in 89. And of course, after the Columbia album, after Inside after it failed to do anything on the charts, Columbia dropped Matthew Sweet. Matthew Sweet really didn't do anything for 2 years. So he finally got a record deal with A&M. And so Earth was released January 23rd of 89. And it, similarly, kind of like Inside, it was recorded at various locations. But you'll see that it was recorded at Axis Studios in New York, which Girlfriend was recorded at. Right Track Recording in New York and Skyline Studios in New York. So we've kind of gone from a recording that was all over the place, all over globally, now just to be in New York. But the ratings for this album are kind of similar to Inside. All Music gave it 2.5, which I think is not, I think that's bad. Bad All Music. And Rolling Stone gave it 3 stars. But on this record, this is where things start coming together. You've got Matthew Sweet playing guitar, bass, and he's still doing programming. For some reason, we still are using drum programmed tracks. I don't know why, but we are. But on this album, you've got Robert Quine on guitar, you've got Richard Lloyd on guitar, which you will see all over Girlfriend. So this is kind of the beginning of that. Scott Litt is back as an engineer, and of course, Scott was on Inside. Fred Mayer's back with programming. Of course, you know, Fred was in Scritti Politti. He's a drummer, but he's not doing any drumming here. Kate Pearson from the B-52s is doing backgrounds. Gary Lucas is doing dobro and wah-wah guitar on this record. Lee Kunkel, background vocals. You got Chris Stamey's back, and he's doing some guitar on it. But, like I said, this is kind of leading the foundation of what is to come.
An interesting thing, too, about those credits that you just showed. A lot of keyboards on this album, no keyboard credit. There's just a programming credit for Matthew.
I don't understand why that is.
I don't know if that was because Matthew did all of that, but there's a lot of keyboards on this record. But compared to the one that came before it, Inside, the keyboard approach on this record is much more consistent. It doesn't sound like a whole bunch of different people played a whole bunch of different styles. It's much more consistent from song to song.
It is. But anyway, of course, but then again, Todd, this is something I'm going to share with you. This is another promo copy. So not only is this promo copy, well, it's not a white label. I don't know why Matthew didn't get a white label promo, but it's got this beautiful.
Oh, very nice.
8x10. And it's got this sheet, what gives you all his bio and all kinds of information. Very slick. It's got a little sticker on it that says 2 of 89. So I'm assuming whatever radio station got this, they must have got it in February of 89. But just for giggles, here's the label. Nothing special. Typical A&M label at the time. But I really do like this record. Todd, what's your thoughts on Earth?
Okay. Well, Earth, I actually when I started listening, I didn't hear Earth until this year.
Right.
I had never heard anything from it. I could never find it. I would have bought it if I'd have found it in the late 80s and early 90s, but I never found a copy. But I like Earth a lot. When I first heard it, I thought to myself, I listened to the like the program drums and the keyboards and the arrangements, and I thought, well, who is this? I think I said this in the other show. Who is this for?
Right.
You know, and it's like, but at the same time, once it kind of gets under your skin, it really kind of comes alive, and I like this album quite a bit. I think if I was to go back and do the after spending more time with it, I might rank it higher.
Yeah.
But I like the first song, Easy. I like When I Feel Again, and I really like Wind in the Sun. Wind in the Sun is a almost perfect pop song, and I think that it's my favorite song on this album. Along with Vertigo. I like Vertigo a lot, and I like Vixen a lot. But one of the things that's interesting about this record is that background vocals are provided by a woman named Leah Kunkel. And Leah Kunkel is interesting in that she is Cass Elliott's little sister.
Yep.
And Columbia signed her in the 70s, I think 79 or something like that. And I think they thought she was going to be a really big star. And that my buddy who's got a record store nearby has a couple of her. She had 2 records, and he's got both of them, and they're pretty good. But I think that's a strange name to be showing up on Matthew's album. But I don't know whether or not somebody recommended her to him, or whether one of the producers, whether Dave Allen knew her, or maybe, I don't know.
I have no idea.
But yeah, she's kind of semi-famous.
But I get that Trip Shakespeare would be on here because they're all from that time period.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I don't know where Lee came.
She's not quite a previous generation, but almost.
Not really, but kinda.
Yeah.
Know? It's just funny. I don't know. It's just I wish I had more background on it, but you can hardly find any information about this record.
Yeah, I know.
You know?
There's not a lot of info out there. But this record, I think, has, gosh, I was about to say it starts out with 5 really strong tracks.
Yeah.
I like Children of Time Forever. I like Love, but then I was like, maybe more. I mean, I like Vertigo. I like Underground. If I could pick a song that I didn't like that much, it would probably be The Alcohol Talking. But and even that one's okay. I think Vixen is great. That's the one with Kate Pearson on it. Yeah, and I think How Cool and Having a Bad Dream are really good. I think melodically, Having a Bad Dream has some really interesting stuff happening, some really sophisticated stuff. And so this record gets better with every listen. I think I raise its rating a fraction of a star every time I listen to it. Oh, you got more goodies.
Well, these are all the same goodies, but keep going. I thought maybe I had the 12-inch of Vixen, but I don't.
Oh, you've got Vertigo. Okay.
I've got Vertigo and When I Feel Again. That's what
okay. Okay, but yeah, a lot of strong tracks on this record. One observation I have is that it's produced by Fred Mayer and David M. Allen with Matthew Sweet. Again, does not sound like a David M. Allen production. Much. I don't want to say lighter. That sounds like an insult.
Well, the Cure stuff
not
is
as
so
dark.
Dense. It's
yeah.
Murky.
But one of the things I wanted to mention about this record is that it seems like, with the exception of maybe The Alcohol Talking and maybe Vixen, there's not much of an edge on it. It's very it's quite honestly, it's a lot like the way they picture him. He seems like kind of a sensitive, sweet kind of guy on this album. And it's very interesting to me that Girlfriend comes after this, because in Girlfriend, I think there's a very, very concerted effort to give Matthew Sweet an edge, and I think I think they were very successful at it, but not really here. And it's almost a little bit refreshing to see to hear a Matthew Sweet album that is kind of gentle.
Well,
I mean, compared to some of the others.
well, as you know, there are some more like Living Things is a lot more gentle than anything else.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah,
He kind of, it just all depends. But this would probably be the first one in that vein or that type of,
Yeah. I think these first two albums were really an exercise between the artist himself and the people who he was working with and the record labels to try to figure out where to put him.
The reviews that I see for Earth, they seem to be, you could look at Trouser Press or whatever. They kind of think that Earth was a bit of a, I wouldn't say downward spiral, but I would say that they think it is not quite as good as the first effort. Me personally, I think I like this album better than the first album because I see everything starting to come together. Because you've got Richard Lloyd playing guitar, you've got Robert Quine playing guitar. All the pieces are starting to form. And I don't see how the material on this is any, I just think it's better, me personally.
They sound like Matthew Sweet songs, and you don't get that stylistic whiplash from going from producer to producer.
It's more of a cohesive work. I guess that's what I would say. Plus you've got Kate Pearson on it, so how could it be all that bad?
Right.
But I don't know. I mean, I gave the first album 3 stars. I don't know. First of all, Todd, what would you give this?
I would give this one 3.25. And I do the 0.25 because can we do 0.25? Is that legal? I gave Inside a 3. So
on this channel, we can do 3.25.
Okay. 3 1/4.
I think that's a fair assessment. But I like this album a little bit better than the first album, but I think if you look at the track listing, my favorite song on here, and I talked about this in the other show that we did. When I Feel Again, when I saw Matthew Sweet on the Girlfriend tour, he played this song.
Oh, okay.
And it was top notch. And I went, holy crap, what song is that? That's not on Girlfriend, because at the time, we're talking back in 91, the only thing I knew at that time was Girlfriend. Don't forget, these other albums that came before had been out of print forever. And like we were talking about, you couldn't find these in the wild at all. Like the only person I knew that had Earth was this girl named Mindy in Cleveland. And I tried to get the cassette from her and she wouldn't let me have it.
I'll bet you if I went to the campus radio station in Athens and looked for these records in like 1988,
they had
87 them. When I was there, they probably had them.
Yeah, they had them. They were promos. That's all. Like I said, look at this one's an Earth promo. And you know what? I have another copy of Earth. And guess what? It's a promo.
I'm going to start looking at eBay to see if I can find one that's not a promo.
Good luck. But this album, When I Feel Again, I think is the best track. Obviously, Matthew thought it was the best track because he played out with it. But Easy's great. You've got Richard Lloyd, Trips Shakespeare on it. Programming, once again, I think this whole album, I am correct. The whole album is drum programming, which I'm not a big fan of. But compared to Inside, the drum programming on this record does not bother me at all.
Well, and it sounds the same throughout the record.
Right.
It doesn't sound like it's different styles and
Right.
different people doing it. One of the things that happens too a lot with drum programming is that whenever a person's in a situation like Matthew was, where he doesn't have any hits yet, a lot of times drum programming was used to make a safe record. It's just so that the producer could be in complete control of the drum tracks. Because I was really blown away to find out that the two most popular 10,000 Maniacs records, In My Tribe and Blind Man Zoo, are programmed. And they don't sound like it. They sound like real drums. But apparently Peter Asher was just like, I don't have time to mess with a drummer. I'm just going to replace him.
I'm surprised you just mentioned 10,000 Maniacs. I just bought this the other day for $2. 10,000 Maniacs, you can find these everywhere.
Yeah.
Well, this is the original pressing that's got Peace Train on it.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of the ones you find out in the wild don't have Peace Train on it because they redid it. But I listened to this yesterday. I know we're going off track, but I haven't listened to this probably since, gosh, when did this come out? 89? 88? No, 87. I probably haven't listened to this since 89. And I just want to say, since we brought up 10,000 Maniacs, what a great record this is.
Yeah. Yeah.
Holy crap, Todd.
I think their guitarist, Peter, what is his name now? I can't remember his name.
Wait a minute, I'll get it.
Look it up for me since you've got it.
But I
there.
know Peter Buck played on some of I don't know. But he might be on this record.
I can't remember the guitarist name.
Robert Buck.
Robert Buck, thank you. I think he's a genius. May he rest in peace. He passed away.
Oh, he did?
Yeah, I think he's a very distinctive guitarist.
But
I love that record.
What a great record this is. And I'm so glad I just picked it up. I thought, it's $2. It's got Peace Train on it. Normally, like I said, I always see this out in the wild, but it doesn't have Peace Train on it because they're the newer versions.
Michael Stipe sings on that song on there, the Campfire song, and it's only 2 lines, but those 2 lines might be one of the best male vocal performances I've ever heard. I do have a
story for you.
He just absolutely nails them.
Did I tell you the story about me, my old girlfriend and I went to Athens, Georgia?
No.
Okay.
I lived there for many years.
Let's see, what year was it? 93, 92? When did Automatic for the People come out? Help me. What year was that?
I don't want to get this wrong. I should know this. Hang on, it's right here.
Crap, I didn't mean to test you.
1992.
Okay, so we were down there in 92. And we were down we saw Automatic for the People. We went to the 30 Watt Club. We walked all around, went to
I'm sorry I didn't see you there.
We were there. I was looking for it. But we went to the Wuxtree, right?
Yeah, yeah.
We went everywhere. I don't know. I bought some records in there, but I can't remember now. It's been 1,000 years ago. Though they're in there somewhere. Anyway, so at night, and then we went to the Athens Theater. Right? Is that what it's? The Athens Theater?
The Georgia Theater. Yeah.
The Georgia Theater. I'm sorry.
Yep.
It's been a while. We went there, and then we walked around. We thought, well, let's just go get a drink or get some dinner. Well, we're walking down. I can't tell you what street it was, but I look across the street, and I'll be damned if Michael Stipe's not walking down the street on the other side. And I went, I'll be damned. It's Michael Stipe. Of course, he lived there, so why wouldn't he be walking down the street? So I said to her, why don't we follow him and go wherever he's going? So we followed him, and I can't, Todd, you probably know the place, but I can't remember where. I couldn't tell you what it was now. But we went in and followed him in, and we sat in a booth.
There was a place that he liked to go to called the Globe.
It might have been the Globe.
That might have been where you were. Yeah.
That might be it. But he got there by himself, and he sat down, and then a couple like 3 other his friends came and joined him. But I was listening to him, and he was talking about, I've got to go to the Grammys, and we've got to perform with Natalie Merchant. We're going to do that Lulu song, "To Sir with
Just
Love."
her with love. Yeah.
Do you remember when they played that live
Yeah.
back in the day? Well, he was talking about, yeah, I've got to fly out like tomorrow, blah 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 blah. And I was going, well, that's pretty cool. But I
Uh-huh.
was trying to listen in because I was all starstruck. I was such a big REM fan.
Yeah, I've talked
Well,
to Michael many
obviously, because
times.
I've got my REM poster up, but I mean, I
Yeah,
loved REM.
he will talk to anyone, and the way to talk to him is to not talk about, not go, oh my god, I have all your albums. Don't do that. He'll walk away from you. But if you try
Mhm.
to talk to him about something else, just something that's going on around you or in the world, he's very approachable.
Yeah. I know we deviated from it, but I just could not stop myself. But I'll tell you, Todd, Athens, Georgia was so cool. I mean, I loved it. There was also a diner. Why do I want to? Is what street
There
was
was a
it
place
on?
called the Grill that was
The
kind of decked out in like chrome.
Art
It looked like a diner.
Deco and Chrome. We went
Yeah,
to the
yeah,
grill and got food.
yeah. Great
It was
food.
great. It was great.
Yeah. I tried to stay. I graduated in 87 and stayed there until 94. Just trying to, what can I do to never leave this town?
Yeah.
So, yeah,
But
it's great.
unless you work at the university, I don't know what.
There are no jobs. It's a
There are no
town
jobs.
full of it's a town full of creative people who don't want to leave and will do whatever it takes to stay. Very, very accomplished and talented artists and musicians who wait tables.
But I loved
Just
it.
love it there.
I
Yeah.
loved it.
It's
Just the
just about
whole,
65 miles down the road from me.
but the whole vibe. You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
I
You
do.
go to Athens, there's a certain energy. You go into the 30-watt club, you know,
40 watt club.
all what did I say?
30. Close. 40
40
watt club.
watt? Sorry.
Yeah.
Brain problem. It's been a while. But the 40-watt club, just the energy and the history of that place.
We used to go at the beginning of this is back when school used to be in quarters instead of semesters.
Yeah.
But at the beginning of every quarter, it would start on Tuesday. And one of the nights at either the 40 Watt or the Uptown Lounge, one of the nights would be the Connells. One of the nights would be
Oh,
Let's Active with Mitch Easter.
oh
And
my
one of the nights
God.
would be the Indigo Girls. And so it would be like this. It would be, I've seen those bands so many times.
I
And
love Let's Active. I'd love to do a show on Let's Active.
absolutely. We
And
should
I'd
do that.
love to do Guadalcanal Diary. Oh my
Yeah.
God. And Pilot. Todd, you were there when things were happening. Did you
Mhm.
ever see Matthew Sweet back in the day when
I didn't.
okay or Buzz of
I
Delight?
didn't know. I never saw. Oh, the only things that I would have seen would have been Oh Okay, or actually I think I was too late for Buzz of Delight too. Um, but there were times when one of the things that would happen in Athens is that different people from REM would show up and do like shows like at the 40 Watt Club,
Mhm.
like billed as something else. Like I remember one time Michael and his sister, Michael and Linda, did a
Mhm.
show and they just called themselves something else.
Did you get that
So
see that
and then
show?
and then like the buzz goes around town. It's like it's really Michael Stipe, and then everybody goes. And so I went to one thing like that. I went to something that was Mike Mills and Peter Buck and just some other people. I saw Hindu Love Gods.
Oh,
So that
cool.
was Warren Zevon and Mike and Peter and Bill.
Oh, how
So
cool is that?
yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my God, you were there just at the right time.
A little bit earlier would have been the perfect time, but I
Well,
was
you
there.
were there when the
I was there
B-52s were there and all that, when things are just starting to cook.
84 to 94 is when I was there.
Yeah, but if you would have been there a little bit earlier,
I probably would have seen Matthew Sweet.
probably would have seen Matthew Sweet.
Yeah.
Well, we've went on a tangent, folks. I hope you've enjoyed Todd's history, which is fascinating. No, I'm being serious. I envy you big time. But
It was fun.
we'll wrap this up here. We're almost at an hour. But on Earth, I'm going to give this record, I'm going to give it a 3.5. I can't give it a 4, but I think it's a solid 3.5. Easy's a great song. When I Feel a Grin's a great song. Wind in the Sun, Vertigo, Vixen. Yeah, I cannot disagree with anything that you said. But I do think that When I Feel Again is the best track. When I Feel Again could have been on Girlfriend, of course. But
Yeah, I agree.
anybody out there, if you have the Matthew Sweet Vertigo single, it does have Silent City on it. And it's the demo of it. But Silent City is one of my favorite Matthew Sweet songs of all time.
So yeah, I like Silent City a lot. So I looked up my rankings, and I ranked, when we did our album ranking show, I ranked Inside 14th and Earth 13th.
Yeah, I think Earth should be up higher.
And I probably would have bumped Earth up higher now that I've spent a couple more weeks with it.
I think I had Earth at like maybe 7 or 8. This also has another song on here called You Gotta Have Me.
Oh, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah, that one's not on. That's not on Earth. And then, of course, here we go again. This is the When I Feel Again 12-inch, which has To Understand and a demo of Divine Intervention before it came out on Girlfriend.
Well, that's interesting, because the CD that I think Volcano put out, that's got all of his early works on it, is called To Understand, the early songs of Matthew Sweet. So I wonder what the personnel is on that song, To Understand.
I think
it probably doesn't say.
I don't know. I'd have to look. But the label
That is a promo label.
It's not. Well, maybe it says promotional copy.
And it's white to the black.
It's white. So I'm assuming that's what the A&M promos look like then.
I think so.
Yeah, but this is great if you can ever find it. Of course, you can get that CD.
I've never seen that in my life.
I got all these in
Now
Ohio.
I have something to look for.
Got these all in Ohio like 20 years ago.
I have to go to Athens and look for those.
Yeah, I'd love to go back down to Athens. How often do you ever get to Athens?
About twice a year.
Is the Wuxtry still down there?
Yes, it is. And there's a couple more record stores now.
I love the Wuxtry. I can't remember what I got down there.
Yeah, when I was there was the downtown Wuxtry, and then there was also, I don't remember what they called it. There was this one little tiny narrow Wuxtry, and I think they called it the Wuxtry Annex or something like that. And then upstairs above that was a comic book store that was called Wuxtry. And then they had another Wuxtry that was across the street from the dorms from the University of Georgia. So at one point there were 4 different Wuxtrys.
All I remember in 94, I guess that's when we were down there. I only remember seeing the one. And I don't remember any other record stores down there other than that.
There have been a couple that have come and gone, but
it
good
was
place
fun.
to buy records. Yeah.
Yeah, and I wish I could remember what I bought, but I can't remember anymore. It is what it is.
I remember one of the things that I remember about Wuxtry, in the little tiny Wuxtry store, there was the ceiling was plastered with flyers from shows, and one of the shows was XTC with REM opening. I think it was XTC with REM opening. It could have been the other way around, but
it must have been 82 or something.
Yeah, it was 81 or 82, and I remember going in and just looking at that flyer.
Do you remember where they played? Were they probably?
I think it was the 40 Watt. It was either the 40 Watt or the Uptown Lounge. Yeah.
I remember another place was the Bluebird Cafe.
Bluebird Cafe. It's a vegetarian restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the corner of something and something. I remember seeing that there. God, what else? I can't remember anything else.
There's a place that Michael Stipe likes to go to that's another vegetarian restaurant that's called The Grit, which is a couple of blocks off, away from downtown. And my wife and I always go there whenever we go to Athens. This is related because Matthew Sweet lived in Athens, right?
Right. This is all related. Well, I think this is fascinating. It's like talking It's like talking to Prescott Niles about his history. We're talking to Todd Evans
Not quite.
about living. Well, I think it's Todd. No offense, but I think this is fascinating.
We could do an Athens show sometimes.
I'd love to go down there. If
You
I
should
can
come
get
down
down
and
there,
we'll do one like on location.
we'll do a show on location. I could make that happen. That would be fun.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd love to go there. You could show me around Athens. It'd be a blast. Well, anyway, kids, this has been a great episode because how much fun has this discussion been? And we're like at 59:24, rounding it out to an hour. How perfect. So anyway, we just looked at Matthew Sweet's Inside and Earth. Todd gave Earth a 3.
I gave Earth a 3.25 and Inside a 2.75, which I rounded up to 3.
And I gave So yeah. And I gave Inside a 3, and I gave Earth a 3.5. Would I start out here with Matthew Sweet? No. But next month we're gonna take a look at Girlfriend and Altered Beast, which I'm just gonna say for me those are my 2 favorite records. And maybe while we're at it,
start with a 3.
And if it's okay with you, Todd, since we're looking at this, maybe we could talk a little bit about those EPs that came out and some of those alternative tracks that didn't make it on the record. I don't know why we might as well talk about them since we'll be doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, anyway, I think this has been a great conversation. I hope everyone out there liked it.
Thanks for having me.
And Todd, thanks for coming on. How much fun. But anyway, on my channel, Todd will be on here, but we're going to be doing an upcoming episode on obscure albums Mark II. We already did a Mark I episode, but this is kind of a follow-up to the other episode. It was so popular with the panel, we're going to do another one. So that's coming up. And then on Ryan's Vinyl Destination, we're going to be doing a police conversation pretty soon. I think that might be tomorrow. I don't have my book in front of me, so all I can say, kids, is look out for more stuff. And then I know there's going to be an April wine discussion where we're going to look at Harder, Faster and Nature of the Beast, which are both of my favorite April wine albums. But we're going to throw it out to the panel and see what they think. So that's another thing, but there's so much more coming up. And then Peter Kerr and I did an interview with Prescott Niles of the Knack. That's been up for a couple of days. Check it out. Make sure you watch it on my channel because I need more viewers. Peter doesn't need viewers. He's fine. He's fine. But look at it on my channel and leave a like, subscribe. Help me boost my numbers. I mean, for crying out loud. But other than that.
Yeah, everybody spread the word about subscribing to Grant's Rock Warehouse.
Yes. You're here on the Todd and Grant show. So, Todd, I want to thank you. I really enjoyed this because I love talking to Matthew Sweet. And I love your perspective. And just your musical knowledge in general is just absolutely stunning. And
thank you. Well, likewise.
I hope we can do some more. We're going to do the Matthew Sweet thing, but we can talk later about doing maybe a Pylon or Guadalcanal Diary.
I would love to do Pylon.
Definitely, we got to do a Let's Active and do like a.
I would love to do all 3 of those.
All right, we'll talk about that later. We'll set those up. But anyway, guys, look for more Todd and I. We've got more content for you. And please like and subscribe. Good night.
Thanks, everybody.